My Hero Academia Season 7, Episode 3 just dropped, and this episode had two very big reveals. So Shigaraki made it back to All For One and was on the ground groveling in pain. He was so full of hatred that so long as a single person was able to remember the name and face of All Might, he would never know peace. All For One explained to him that he would eventually be able to use his quirks again, and even though they didn't get that incredible quirk, New Order, which is like one of the most OP quirks in My Hero Academia, at least they eliminated one of their biggest obstacles by killing Star and Stripe. His new body would need more time to be completed, but All For One wasn't worried or even mad about that at all, because one, he was the master at hiding, so the heroes would never be able to find him, and with him having the quirk Search, he'd literally be able to see where Deku was at all times, so they'd always be able to make the first move, which gave them a monumental advantage over the heroes. Knowing that they only had a week left before Shigaraki would be back on the move, Class 1A was giving it their all training and pushing themselves to the absolute limit. Bakugo showed Deku his new cluster attack. He's now able to turn beads of sweat into explosives. He wears his winter suit to heat his body up and make him sweat a lot faster, but the trade-off to this is that he gets worn out a lot faster. Todoroki's control of his left side is almost as strong as his right side. Once he gets his sides perfectly balanced, he'll be able to stand toe-to-toe and withstand his older brother Dabi's flames. Deku friends remind him not to put all the pressure on his shoulders. They're all in this together. They might not be as strong as him, but together they are a force to be reckoned with, and when the inevitable war starts, their collective growth will be their enemy's greatest oversight. But with Shigaraki able to take out Star and Stripe by himself, I just have a hard time believing Class 1A will stand a chance against him and his forces, but I guess we'll see. Also in this episode, we finally find out who the traitor is. Yuga Oeyama betrayed the heroes. Yuga's parents were raised wealthy and got pretty much everything they ever wanted. They grew up happy and content and wanted their son to grow up the same way. But in a world where everyone had quirks, Yuga was born without one. He was born an outcast. He was terrified to be different. He wanted to fit in and be accepted by his peers more than anything, but he would need his very own quirk to do that. His parents heard of someone who could give people quirks, so they made a deal with All For One. He gave Yuga the quirk Naval Laser. I do wonder though, if All For One is able to give people quirks, could his parents have chose what quirk he got? Because if it's randomized, okay, all good, I understand, but if they were able to choose, Yuga should be pissed that he got Naval Laser, because I'm sure he could have gotten something a lot more powerful that also fit his body a lot better. But anyhow, now him and his parents were in bed with the devil. They'd have to do everything All For One said, or his parents would be killed, and if they went to the police or tried to run, his parents would be killed. All For One showed them what happened to people that tried to break away and run from him. He wanted them to really understand there's no escape after you make a deal with him. They were having this secret meeting in a blind spot of the surveillance cameras, but Invisible Girl and Deku could tell Yuga wasn't his usual enthusiastic self. They were worried about their friend, so they followed him. After overhearing everything that was just said, Deku was in disbelief that Yuga betrayed them. Being confronted, Yuga confessed to it all. He broke down and said he was a villain through and through, and in an attempt to save his parents, he shot his naval laser at Deku. Luckily, Invisible Girl jumped in the way and her body refracts light, so she was able to redirect the beam, and we finally get to see Invisible Girl's face. Brought to tears, she was devastated and asked Yuga what was he thinking. How could he be in the same class as them, sleep in the same dorm as them, laugh with them and even share dreams with them, become friends with everyone in Class 1A, while also feeding their enemies vital information about them. By him leaking their whereabouts to the villains, not once but twice, so many heroes could have been killed, and now Japan was collapsing. Her words rattled Yuga to the core. Deku subdued Yuga and his parents and took them all in. Deku did feel in his heart of hearts that Yuga wasn't a villain. He was a good guy that got mixed up in a very bad situation. But since he got his quirk from All For One, the heroes wasn't sure if he had an explosive planet in him how Nagant did, so they had to take preventative measures. To All For One, Yuga and his parents were disposable. He compared them to cheap lighters. If he got use out of them, great, but if he didn't get any use out of them, oh well, he can just dispose of them and easily replace them. He never had just one singular route to his goal. He always will have dozens more that he mapped out years in advance, so if one doesn't work, he could easily switch to an alternate route to his goal. But Class 1A saw this situation completely different. Yuga was now in a very unique position. He was the only one that could trick All For One. By using Yuga to feed All For One information that they wanted him to use, they could control All For One's movements, and for once, the heroes could have the upper hand. They were finally in a position to take the villains by surprise, and by helping them, Yuga could once again become a hero. This was a great episode, quite the emotional roller coaster once we found out Yuga was the traitor, but from start to finish, just so good. Let me know your thoughts below, like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.